Hi, I'm Melanie Dickens. I'm going to teach you about the best booths and interviews judging. We're going to talk a little bit about the questions that are used in the team booths and during the interview process that you're going to take place at your actual booth and exhibit. Some of these questions will seem a little bit similar to the marketing, but I want you to go ahead and have all of this just based on the actual team booth. Okay, first of all, the purpose of the booth is to creatively communicate an understanding of the game theme and to demonstrate how the team has promoted best in the school and community. Now, you're going to see, I want to tell you first of all, you're going to see different booths. Some of the booths are going to be very professional booths, and some of the booths are going to seem not so professional. But I want you to know that we at Best do not want to say the more money you spend, the better the score. You are not to be giving a score based on what you think someone spent a lot of money on, because some of the schools do not have the resources and some have very limited resources. But as long as they have made an attempt and are giving you the information and the requirements, that's what we would like you to be based on. Of course, looking at some of these, you're going to say, wow, it took your breath away. But please be objective when you are scoring the sheets when it comes to the interview process. Sharing information and technology resources and mentoring. Was there clear evidence that there was a sharing of information between schools, technology, and just encouraging BEST? The teams have been trained that there should be something, whether or not it's a picture, the logo, BEST should be there, whether or not it's pamphlets, cards, something that shows that they are showing the BEST program. Did they share robotics information? Did they mentor with other people? Did they provide assistance? This may be physical evidence or documentation, or they could just tell you the answers to these questions. How did they do this? You know, one of the questions that I will tell you, so that the fact is that we're going to have so many teams in booths, is one of the first things is make sure that they have their team numbers and school names on that booth. If you're not quite sure if you're judging the correct team, maybe one of the first questions you should get in the habit of saying is, which team do you represent or which company do you represent? That way you know that your score sheets coincide with the correct team. Presentations and robot demonstrations to other schools and community groups. Did they give demonstrations to other schools? Maybe their school is too small or they couldn't get enough money to go out on a field trip. So did they go to maybe a third grade class or a fifth grade class to promote BEST? Did they show what their maybe 3 or 4 students went to another classroom and discussed what they did. Maybe they had a church group. Maybe they had a fundraiser that they were able to talk to people about. Did they show you the proof? Did they have the pictures, or can they at least explain to you what they did? Publicity. Print materials, media, press generated within the school and within the community. Maybe before homeroom there was announcements talking about the school. Maybe they had radio media talk about BEST Robotics. Maybe they did some kind of sponsorship with the local media. That's what we need to see. Did they clearly discuss BEST and how to promote the program? Fundraising and sponsorship efforts. Some schools are not allowed to do any kind of fundraising and sponsorship. Please understand that if they tell you this, that they were unable to provide sponsorship or fundraising, how did they support the team in other ways? Maybe they couldn't support the team financially, but did they discuss it in their team budget or how they worked with a team budget? Because most will have some sort of budget. Maybe they received a donation from poster boards from a local Dollar General, Dollar Tree. So just please do not mark off for a team that says we cannot do fundraising, but they can show what kind of effort they did have on how they got support. Now, use of technology, display models or boards. Once again, some may have a PowerPoint that they do in the program. Some may just tell you. Some will have pictures, some will have laptops, but you need to be able to look and see, is there a BEST logo in multiple places? Did you see that there was maybe a veteran team might have some awards that they were given previously? You just actually see these. Creativity in incorporating the game theme. Do you see that there's a creative, original idea? Does the booth say, for instance, we're talking about maybe farming and fertilizing, but the booth has nothing to do with that. It has balloons for a dart game. Okay, why do they have that? And have them explain to you why they chose what they chose. Some will have games in their actual team booth. Some will have interactive programs and manipulatives. Why did they choose to give out what they're giving out? Why did they choose to do what they're doing? That's what you need to ask. Compliance with specifications. We actually have these cubes and booths taped off and measured 8 by 8 by 8. But there are some teams that have had a history of going over that 8 by 8 by 8. So if you think that maybe they've gone over it, we will have tape measures if their size is questionable. So please refer back to one of the judges or to one of the main maintenance people for a tape measure. Did they exceed the boundary? Was it messy? Is there plugs that are tripping where you can trip over? Please make sure to make comments, because we want to make sure it's not just that we had to plug it in a certain way. We don't want anyone to lose points based on something we had to do in order for the booth to be in the tent. Evidence of students' learning and experience. Please keep in mind that there will be small groups. So some teams may actually have to work the field and work the booth. So if you go by and you've attempted 2 to 3 times, please let someone know that you were unable to actually find that team. And that way they have all been told to post if they had to leave if there was an emergency or if they were on the field. They've been trained to leave a note saying, but we want to make sure that we give them the opportunity to at least articulate what they experienced, what they learned during this program. Are they enthusiastic? Did they show enthusiasm about their experience in BEST? Some of these students, it may be their first time to actually speak in public. They may be a little bit shy. Some of them may be on the younger side, or some of the teams may have been here for several years. So please keep that in mind. But as long as they're talking about it and seeing the enthusiasm, make sure that the attitudes are very positive. That's where the points are coming from. Did they recruit multiple areas of grades? Is there a diverse cross-section of the school population? Once again, you'll notice that some of these are similar to the marketing, and you may remember them if you are doing both marketing and team exhibits, but please only score on what you are scoring at this given time. Evidence that the students were the primary designers. Now, if the students tell you, hey, my dad helped, he did all of this, or we're hearing a lot of the same group has had so-and-so's parents doing that, we want this to be student ran. Now, we know that they have to have security for some of the drills that they're using, but we want to know that the students understand the technical questions about the robot, the team exhibit, the related materials. There should not be any adults in the booth answering any of these questions. These are student questions only. And once again, if you have any questions, please refer those in an email or to, if it's the day of competition, before you actually give a score, ask one of the judges or one of the marketing judges. Thank you. You'll also see we've attached a Best Robotics competition, the tent and the booth. This is to help you maybe to make it clear where you're actually supposed to be judging. Keep in mind that there are some changes that come up, but please, if you're in doubt as to whether or not you're at the right booth, just make one of the first questions, tell me a little bit about your company, or what is the name of your school or company. That way you know that you are scoring the correct exhibit. These questions that are attached are team exhibit interviews. What have you enjoyed most about BEST? What is your understanding of the goals of BEST? What was your team's strategy? What tool did you use? Some of these you may be familiar with, and some of these you may not like the wording of. Please feel free to ask some of these questions, but please make sure you're looking at your score sheet to see that you're giving the proper scores for the proper categories.